Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Happy to see all of you. Thank you, Prashish, for joining as well. What I'm going to do is just talk a bit about IPNG and introduce your webinar, and then you can take over from there. So we are IPNG, Asia Pacific Next Generation. And IPNG is an arena in which future leaders of the digital society in the Asia Pacific region gather to build a human network and learn from each other. IPNG has offered resources and discussions for multi-stakeholders from different regions to challenge the digital divide. We have been doing webinars since 2020, 2021, and 2022, where our esteemed and expert speakers spoke on blockchain research and applications, Internet of Things in agriculture, cybersecurity, RPA chatbots, artificial intelligence for COVID-19, towards multilingual internet, Silicon Valley research, and other range of topics. And we also work in collaboration with other Asia Pacific regional organizations like EPNIC, Apricot, IPNOG, ISOC, and ICANN. We are really honored to have Prashish Rajbhandari speaking for us today, and the topic is great as well. NFT has been taking the digital assets by storm, because last year everyone was shocked when a digital art sold for 69 million. And you know, digital art, we just create it using technology, using computer systems. Prashish Rajbhandari is the founder of Bridge23, a company that focuses on developing innovative solutions for blockchain technology, with a particular emphasis on NFTs and gaming. Prashish has held several prominent positions throughout his career. He has served as the Chief Technology Officer at Advanced Pedagogy, an educational technology company based in Singapore, where he oversaw the development of cutting-edge educational technology solutions. Prashish has also served as an early engineer at one of the largest fintech companies in Mexico. He has also worked as an advisor and consultant at several companies, where he has helped organizations develop effective technology strategies. He graduated with a Master of Computer Science degree from the University of Cincinnati in Ohio, USA, and a bachelor's degree from IIT Allahabad, India. Today, Prashish is going to talk about non-fungible tokens, how it's trending and its impact on digital ownership. As you know, that NFTs is the new craze in terms of digital ownership, and digital ownership is becoming increasingly important. And one of the digital assets that have emerged during the last few years is the non-fungible tokens. So how do we verify non-fungible tokens? How do we authenticate who owns these non-fungible tokens and digital assets like art, music, and video games? The gaming and entertainment industries have been quick to adopt NFTs and create unique experiences, rewarding fans and exploring new revenue streams. NFTs are also being explored in finance, real estate, and identity verification. NFTs have the potential to revolutionize how we think about ownership, digital ownership, and transfer of digital assets. So this webinar will look into the origins and latest trends of NFTs and look at the future of NFTs as viable digital assets. So I hand over to Prashish now. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the warm introduction, Sam. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, APNG. I think when you asked me to talk about NFTs, so right now I live, breathe, and like work on NFTs all day long. So I think I'm quite excited to present about NFTs and what it has to offer. So let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, a little bit about myself. I think Sam has already given quite an introduction. So I was an early engineer at Clip. So it was based on Silicon Valley. We had offices in Mexico. That's where I got introduced to blockchain and crypto and Bitcoin. And since Silicon Valley is like the place where the early innovators are, that's where I got to meet a lot of early innovators building on the blockchain, building early protocols, wallets, dexes. So that's where I kind of the seed got planted. But then I moved back to Nepal in 2018, and then I worked as a CTO at my second teacher. It's an education company based in Singapore and Nepal. And right now I'm the chief strategy officer at at Venture 23 and the founder at Bridge 23. So what I do is, so we have a team of 65 plus people around the world working on various areas and fields of blockchain, including NFTs, layer one technology, gaming. So right now our current focus is completely on bringing the current Web2 environment, especially gaming, to Web3. A lot of the companies are working with us, especially AAA games, on creating different strategies on how we can bring the current existing games to the Web3 space. We also work with on bridges, ZK technology, and many more. So these are all the blockchains that we have worked on: Ethereum, Polygon. So right now, each blockchain is trying to build their own NFT infrastructure, protocols, and the different toolings around it. So Ethereum is where it kind of got popular with like CryptoKitties, CryptoPunks, and even and right now Polygon is really pushing hard with Immutable X on bringing a lot of games into the digital space. Like we have Solana, we have Tezos, who are more into bringing artists to create digital art and onboard them into Web3. So there's a lot of activities happening in different blockchains. Every blockchain has a certain focus, and they're building the toolings behind it. So we can go on like we can have a Q&A on this at the very end. So a quick recap on what blockchain is. So if you look at the history of computing, we see every few decades a new computing platform emerges, like from mainframe to personal computer to mobile phones. And right now, the hottest trend is blockchain, and everyone is trying to understand what blockchain is. So when a new computing platform comes, it brings a new set of technologies which the previous platform did not have. Like, for example, when personal computers came in, people said, hey, this computer cannot process as much data as the mainframes. Why do I need that? But this new computing platform brings new set of possibilities, like creating, playing games, Word documentation, internet. So personal computer created that. Similarly, when mobile phones first came into the picture, it was slow, it was clunky. It was, and we could not really do much with the earliest mobile phones. But as the technology got progressed, it new kind of applications were possible with GPS, with camera phones, with gyroscope, and when the new technology came in, it was very difficult to work. Developers had to specialize at a certain area. For example, we had to hire GPS engineers to create an application on GPS. We had to hire camera engineers to build on to create a camera application on the earliest mobile phones. But right now, after 10 years, you can just do import camera and do everything in a couple of lines of code. So it takes time. So right now, the blockchain, what it provides, which the previous computing platform did not provide, is a trust. What you can do is you can deploy code or you can deploy a program on the blockchain, and you can be sure that the entire network makes sure the code runs as it is. It was not possible in the previous infrastructure because so right now when we deploy code, we deploy to let's say a cloud infrastructure like Amazon or Google Cloud or let's say Azure, where there could be a single point of failure. People could block it. People could, I mean, they could change the code technically. Hence, this blockchain brings a new layer of like computing platform called trust. So this is what is exciting about blockchain. And right now, since we are in very, very early stages of the blockchain development or the infrastructure development, I would say we are in around 2000 and 2005 of the .com, where right now we are building the infrastructure, building the toolings on making it easier for people to onboard and write code on the blockchain. So it's extremely like it's an amazing time to be on this blockchain space. And with new opportunities, I think there are hundreds and hundreds of new blockchains coming and trying to solve different problems in this space. So what blockchain really solves is also called the double spend problem, which means that in the digital space, there is no way for you to verify if you have a digital file or not. For example, if I send you an email, the copy remains with me and the copy goes to you as well. So you could not verify who has what. So blockchain makes sure validates and verifies that this particular asset is with me and not with you. Hence, a new form of applications were possible. Like for example, the first application when this double spend problem was solved was money, because in the digital space, when you say I own something, it's actually the data is with another party, and you're working with that party. So when I send money via internet, is actually going through a bank, or it's actually going through a financial company. It's not going one-to-one versus like cash. So if I take out money, physical cash from my pocket and give it to you, I mean, it can be verified that it's not with me, but it's with you. Similarly, if I buy a desk and give it to you, and physically it's with you, not with me. Digitally, it's not possible. When I send you a message in WhatsApp, it goes through WhatsApp's database or infrastructure. If I send you a photo, I have to upload to Google Drive or some other centralized party. But blockchain, what it does is it allows people to transact without trusting each other, and the whole infrastructure makes sure that it does it like honestly. So that's how blockchain came into be, and we're exploring different avenues, and fungible, non-fungible tokens are one of the things that came up with it. So non-fungible. So a quick brief on non-fungible tokens and fungible tokens. So fungible tokens are assets which can be interchanged with each other. Like for example, if I have 1 rupees or $1, and if I ask someone to send it to me, it doesn't matter the exact $1. It can be anything. So it can be interchanged. Whereas non-fungible tokens are like unique assets attached to a token. You can take an example of, let's say, land. So when I ask people, okay, give me a land, the certificate denotes that the land is of this area and not this area. Hence, you can kind of relate to what non-fungible tokens are. So in the digital space, it's actually a token or an asset which kind of connects, or which maps to a certain digital, let's say, metadata or attribute. So with this, people got very innovative and created a lot of different applications in the blockchain space. So, like I said, in the digital space, there was no concept of ownership. It was always the third party or the application which kind of controlled what you had. Like for example, like if you say, this is my Facebook handle or this is my Twitter handle, it's not really yours because it is controlled by the corporation. Right now, as more and more people are going online. So you can see the typical global internet users as like spend more than 7 hours per day in internet across the devices. With it makes it easier with mobile phones, with your IoTs, laptops. But there's no concept of ownership in the digital space. So and this is what blockchain is trying to solve. So, but this was not always the case. So if you go back to how the internet was created, the ethos of internet was openness, inclusiveness, and working with each other, sharing. There was no concept of okay, wall gardening, but only after Facebook came in, people started to like collect your data, like analyze your data and sell it back to you. Like even you can see that even Google depended on open internet before like China kind of restricted data. So the early ethos of internet was openness and to build on the open. But as time progressed, it kind of changed because the whole structure was don't be evil. Right now with blockchain, what blockchain provides is can't be evil. So you can see that right now the whole internet is kind of divided into colonies, meaning that your data, when you have in one particular area, or let's say one platform, you cannot really migrate to a different platform. My chats from WhatsApp, which is actually my data, cannot be migrated to a different, let's say, a chatting platform, because they control everything. Similarly, uh, if you look at Google or Facebook, you cannot take your data from one social media to a different social media. So this concept of actually owning data was kind of inconceivable maybe 5 to 7 years ago. People did not really care, but right now, as people understand the value of data, they understand that, I mean, it actually has to be owned by you. But even Facebook did not Facebook was not as close as before. So when they started, they kind of opened their arms, got different applications like, let's say, Farmville or Zynga, and those companies created the viral effect to bring people into Facebook. But once Facebook got like big and rich and fat, they said, hey, I'm just gonna stop this. I'm just not gonna provide you the data, and these companies kind of got like taken away. So if you're too centralized, I mean, you kind of fall into this trap. Hence, from don't be evil, this blockchain provides can't be evil. What if your data, you could take it from one platform to the other platform without really worrying about what the platform does? Right now, it's kind of scary because you spend your entire like especially creators, they spend their entire time and dedicate their content into a platform, and suddenly the rules change instantly and you can't do anything about it. When you don't own your data, that's a consequence of it. I think the recent article it said that data is the most valuable resources, and surprisingly, this data is actually generated by us, and it's kind of refined. It's refined into knowledge and it's sold back to us. So you can think of it as, hey, I mean, I'm kind of drilling a hole in the ground, and suddenly oil comes in. You don't know what to do about it. But there are companies who can take the raw oil, refine it, and create petroleum diesel. That's what's happening with data right now. And unfortunate thing is we don't have any control over it. It's actually owned by all the platforms in the space. George Washington kind of put it like pretty clearly: freedom and property rights are inseparable. You can't have one without the other. So the whole movement of NFTs or the movement of fungible tokens is taking the right of data ownership from the entities to yourself, because that's where true digital property rights come in, and then that's where the innovation really starts to flourish. Because once you start owning your data and trying to understand how you can protect it, the new kind of tooling and technologies and frameworks is created behind it. Like for example, one example that I always want to give is owning a car versus renting a car. So right now, when you're using the platform, you're giving your data, and you're renting the platform, or you're actually renting your own data from the application. But let's say car ownership maybe could be a small fraction of like the whole car industry, because you have the car, now you have different appliances for the car, you have the mechanics, you have different appliances. So basically, when you own your data, you don't need permission from the other application, other companies, and that's where the whole movement about the property rights, digital property rights, is going. A good example over here is also when you own a car, you don't need to ask permission from, let's say, BMW to repaint your car, or even ask Tesla to hire a driver. But right now, since all your data is in a certain platform, you are kind of under their jurisdiction. You can't work with a third party by yourself, because the platform controls end to end. And this NFTs and the digital blockchain kind of provides the infrastructure to build on that. Why? Because blockchain by definition is decentralized and immutable. No one entity controls the blockchain network. Any node can enter the blockchain environment, blockchain space, and then be part of the network, because the whole game theory and economics is such that you have to be honest to get an incentive from the network. And the other aspect is it's transparent, and the data and the information is kind of publicly available and accessible to everyone. So there are new blockchains that's coming up with privacy enabled, like in their roots, like Helio, Railgun, and they kind of solve a different set of problems for corporations. But blockchain in general is the perfect infrastructure for digital ownership, especially in this space. So going back, you can see so the first ever NFT that got popular was called CryptoKitties. So in 2017, a company called Dapper Labs, they created a set of cats, a kind of a game that's centered around kind of breeding and curating your cats, or even collecting your cats. It spiked the entire gas for Ethereum blockchain because it was so popular. It was a fairly new concept where you could own something, you could own the cat without relying on the company. So even if the company dies, even if the company doesn't exist, you still have it in the blockchain, and you could use that cat in a different platform. So there was an entire ecosystem around using those cats in different games. Even though Dapper Labs created the cats, you owned it in the blockchain, and you could easily take it to a different ecosystem, and you did not need permission from Dapper Labs. So that was the first innovation that happened. The second one that I really love is Hashmax. So in 2018, I believe, so they created one of the largest collectible NFT projects where you as a participant, you as an owner, could name your art. So it's not only the creator who creates the art, you as an owner can also name the art. So the art was a combination of the artwork and the name. So it was quite unique in the NFT space during that time, and people really loved it. And it showed the possibilities. I would say these were just experiments during that time on how this technology could be used, how this technology could evolve. Looking back last 4-5 years, it's amazing to see the progress. The whole developer tooling that has been built to create such toolings. And you can see in this here is that since it's in the blockchain, you can verify. You can see all the addresses, all the contracts, everything on the blockchain publicly. So even the provenance was easy to do. Right now, if you want to prove, let's say, an art that if it's a real art and a real art or a fake art, there's a whole industry behind kind of making sure the art is real. But here in the digital space, since it's in the blockchain, everything is time-stamped, everything is mapped. It's so easy to figure out okay, this was a real art, not a counterfeit art. Another game that I really enjoyed, and this was one of the earliest, was horse racing. So here you could actually own a horse on chain and like a race among your peers. I believe that they had more than 2 million different races that had happened last. I think I saw the date probably like a few months back, and there's this whole industry around racing horses. And this is not a Web2 racing where you kind of renting the horse. You actually own the horse. You know the gene of the horse. You can breed the horse, get a new horse, and race it. You can curate it. You can actually rent it out to someone for them to race. So with all this, these were really good experiments where people used blockchain technology to create games where the assets ownership, the experience was to the community, to the player, not really owned by the company. So right now there has been a lot of progress in these games. There's this early on. A brief mention, I think I touched this briefly, was when NFTs came into play. New forms of art, new forms of music, videos, experiences got introduced into the market. The picture that you see on the right is Beeple. So he created 5,000 images every single day, and he sold this at $69 million a couple of years ago. The good thing about this is it was a global market. Anyone could buy, be it in Nepal, be it in Singapore, be it in Japan, the US. Anyone could participate in buying art, connecting with the artist, and the whole environment around blockchain really provided this atmosphere. So you could create interactive content, interactive art pieces like hash marks, or you could create you could directly monetize and get royalties whenever there's a resale of that art. The blockchain, you could put it in a smart contract that certain percentage of royalties always goes back to the artist. So this was kind of new in this space because before blockchain, this was not possible, not even conceivable. So digital art is a huge market right now. I think one stat that I saw was in 2022, the whole digital art market size was around 14 billion, but in 2030, it's going to be around 25 to 30 billion dollars. So there's a lot of activity happening, especially in Europe, especially in the US, where people are trying to create different kind of digital art using NFTs in different blockchains. Ethereum blockchain, there are like certain high-end artist building on top of it. There is Tezos, there's Solana. So it's an evolving environment, and experimentations happen every single day. Generative art. So this form of art was kind of possible only with the introduction of NFTs. So it was a new form of art. Like, for example, where you have painting, you have sculptures. This generative art is actually created with code. So the artist writes some code and uses different variables to create different forms of art. The ones that you see, I think the top one is called Firenze, is one of the blue chip generative art, and people really collect it. There are different art galleries that happen around the world, showcasing what is possible in this generative art space. There's another called FX Hash in Tezos, where people can write code in the platform and generate new kind of art. So again, these are all, I would say, people are experimenting with different algorithms, with different concepts. There were a few arts which connected to the external world as well, based on your weather, or let's say your temperature. The art changes in the blockchain, and this happens trustlessly, because the blockchain connects with a trustless oracle, like for example Chainlink, and then gets data from the external environment, and art changes based on that. So it's quite exciting. So this new form of art was only, I mean, and this is, every day we are seeing new forms of art. I think recently I saw an art where there was a baby, and after X many years, that baby would evolve into a full-grown adult. So in 10 years, the art is evolving as it goes. And again, blockchain makes it possible that that's yours. There's no one in the middleman. There's no, if let's say a company kind of disappears, the art is still yours. So definitely possible. Web3 games is huge right now. GDC, so this year in GDC, blockchain gaming was one of the hottest topics in the whole conference. Last year or a couple of years ago, people had a very skeptic eye on like why would people even create Web3 games? But right now, I think as the technology progress, as the ecosystem is evolving, people are trying to are understanding the value of owning assets in the game, because games digital games by default are digital native, meaning that you are introduced to the game like in a digital form. But right now, in all digital games, you're again renting out your characters. When you say, "Hey, I bought this with my credit card," you actually it's a small relationship in a database in their server. You're not owning it. But Web3 games, it makes it possible such that you actually own those assets with own those assets, and even the owner of the games cannot take it away with you. If you want, if the ecosystem allows, you could take those assets to a different game. And this has been like an ongoing experiment, like currently with where owners of the assets of a game can play a different game with the same asset. Uh, so there are some interesting examples like Wolf Game or DeFi Kingdom who are doing like innovative stuff in this space, connecting finance and game, connecting yield farming and fun. So again, like this ecosystem is very new, and right now, as we speak, the next couple of years, a lot of the AAA studios have been onboarded, and they'll be creating new games on different platforms like PlayStation, Xbox. So I would really suggest people to kind of like look into this space, because this is where the next bet in the adoption of blockchain and adoption of Web3 or adoption of NFTs is going to happen. Celebrities, a lot of the celebrities are also experimenting with this. You could see Lionel Messi like launching their own NFTs in the metaverse. Snoop Dogg also launched his collection, and the idea of this is connecting with your fans. So when you own something like digitally, when you really own something, then the celebrities could easily reward you with something. There have been some instances where NFT holders were called for certain exclusive events. NFT holders were rewarded certain passes because now from the blockchain we know that, okay, this person actually holds a token or an art piece of my art piece, so I can reward that person. I think Trump also launched his NFT collection to fund his campaign. So there's a lot of experimentation again going around in this space, and it's quite dynamic. Every day you are seeing something new. So celebrities, I think Hollywood is slowly starting to embrace what can be done by using NFTs, because now you create your community, and then a tight-knit community where you can always interact with them exclusively and digitally. There have also been several community events where like NFT holders were like had access to real world conferences. I think one example is VFriends. They host a conference every single year in the US where NFT holders can come in and join for free and talk to meet fellow community members. And there also have been cases where There have been collaboration between different celebrities or people, and host small meetups and talk to each other about how you can how you can progress your community, what can be done better. There also has been cases where there have been galleries just showcasing different digital art on those themes. Restaurants have been opened in like in the various parts of the world, where you just need the NFT and you could redeem food, because now they see you as part of your community. So even I think even we have hosted like several physical events for people who have our own NFTs in our several different games. And believe me, when people really own a part of the asset, people really feel engaged, because they don't see it, they see it as part of themselves. So ownership has really played a significant like factor in creating these communities, like and most importantly, a global community. Yeah, digital trading cards, as you can see, the market is huge, like $98 billion by 2027. And right now, a lot of the big clubs, the soccer clubs like Manchester United, Arsenal, they are entering in the NFT industry by creating their own set of trading cards. And those trading cards can eventually might be played, can be played in a game. They might have a pass to come to the stadium. And so these cards could actually also be played in a fantasy game. So it's the possibilities are endless, because you issue a official NFT or a trading card from in the blockchain, and that the same asset can be used across different platforms easily. So I mean, right now there's this huge momentum going on how digital trading cards can be used. We recently, I think, also we collaborated with a football company, and created NFTs for them and gave out to the fans, and some of them actually got to come and visit the stadium, visit the players. So creating a community, I think, is the center point of an NFT ecosystem. Yeah, in some cases we also have seen real estate ownership, because if you don't have the capital, what people have done is they have fractionalized the whole asset into small pieces, because it is possible, and it is possible with blockchain technology. It's called fractionalized NFTs. So if you don't have $10,000 or X dollars to buy the entire piece, you fractionalize it into small pieces. People can own it, and when it resells, the owners also get a small percentage of the benefit. In some cases, even the fractionalized NFTs have certain benefits. Like, for example, if a new game comes out, you need the NFT, the fractionalized NFT could be used to participate or play in the game or enter an event. So there's a lot of innovation also happening here, especially on the real estate investing in industry, virtual real estate. This one is also taken the whole industry by storm, where we can see that Roblox and Minecraft, they have like millions and millions of users. But again, since this is in the Web3 space, you don't own the assets. The company owns the asset. So new kind of virtual games like Sandbox or Decentraland, Crypto Voxels, they have come up with a similar concept game, but here you own the land, you own the asset, and you could create whatever you want. You could resell it to someone else, you could lend it to someone else, and that person can come and build on top of your land. So there's again huge a market that can progress in the next 5 to 10 years. So the next I'm going to talk about tooling. So as the NFT space evolves, it has not even been 5 or 6 years since it got popular, but I still remember the first time I was using NFTs or trying to play around NFTs, and it was a big hassle. Just to like, let's say buy or let's say use the NFTs, you need to set up a wallet, you need to get some funds, you need to understand how the blockchain works, you need to understand transactions. So it was kind of a hassle on a person who doesn't know what blockchain. It was very difficult to get on board. But we have, as the tooling, as the market matures, we have seen like it's getting much easier and easier to onboard. I think a few months ago, new marketplaces are coming into the picture, which has a new set of ideologies, with new set of ethos on how you can use or how you can like buy and sell. Some are more centralized, some are more community driven. So again, there are a lot of experimentations that are happening in this field, but this market is getting huge. So when you have something, when you have a digital asset of some value, borrowing and lending has also become pretty huge in the space. People borrow digital asset to play a game that the ecosystem kind of introduced. A recent example is Board Ape Yacht Club launched a game, and people who hold the NFTs probably didn't have time to play the game, so they lent out the NFTs, and some people came in rented out the NFTs and then played the games, got some rewards. Rewards kind of like got distributed to the whole ecosystem, or like the players, and then after certain time, the NFT was given back to the original owner. And this is possible like seamlessly without trusting anyone. Right now, if you need to borrow or lend, you need to trust again a third party. Here, you just need to trust the code. The code is the law. You need to interact with the code, the smart contract, borrow it, and after a certain time, the code automatically takes it back. So all these innovation are also happening like in this space. Every single day you can see the borrowing and lending market, TVL is also growing, and this, I just took a snapshot yesterday, and this is on a bear market. Like I mentioned, the tooling is getting much easier to onboard people, because initially you had to connect wallet, know what RPC, buy, sell, a lot of hassle. But right now you could just go use your Google, Facebook account or your email address, log in, and then buy assets. And that probably is a intermediate step, because onboarding it makes it easier to onboard. But once you want to have the asset to your own custody, then it is also possible with these experiences. Delegation, this also is a new and a fairly rapidly evolving concept, where you are actually delegating your assets to someone else. So when you buy something, you don't need to you don't need to use your cold wallet. You can delegate your assets from a cold wallet to a hot wallet, and sign and use the NFTs through the hot wallet. And again, this was probably innovated a year back. So everything that I'm showing is probably a year, 2 or 3 years back. The whole space is rapidly innovating, and every single day we see something else. And this probably a few months back, where people are converting their writings into NFTs. Why? Because if a lot of people are collaborating to create one article, and you get some revenues from that article, the royalties are easily distributed to everyone through the smart contract. So Mirror is one example, which I mean, it's full-fledged. You can see it live, and artists and writers are actually using it. Another example is Tiny Taps, like Publisher NFT. People are publishing content as NFT, and the revenue that you generate from the content by search, let's say for example, some people pay for this content, that payment automatically goes to the publishers or the owners of those assets. All good experiments. Like Tiny Tap released this 6 months ago, so this field is evolving as we see. On the bottom left, you can see music also as an NFT, where you have a Genesis music, and the music is created on the blockchain. So without intervening. The music gets generated, and then you could resell those music to others directly from the blockchain. Governance is also strong, where the bottom right is a very interesting concept called a noun DAO, where every single day a certain NFT is created on chain automatically, and people bid to buy it. And the buyers of those NFTs can decide or dictate what those funds can be used for. So there's a governance portal where people vote on saying, okay, I want so let's have this event, let's have t-shirts for this, let's have this XYZ. And based on the community voting, based on people who actually own the NFTs, people like the funds get directly distributed from the treasury. So governance is also a really strong example of a good experiment that's happening. And believe it or not, this Noun project, they have right now a treasury of more than $50 to $60 million. Just and everything is on chain. No one single entity controls the funds. It's in the smart contract, and even the distribution of the funds is happens directly from the smart contract. I took this screenshot yesterday, May 19th. Ethereum, I would say, is where all the NFT or digital asset activity is happening. But Bitcoin Ordinals, which just launched 3-4 months ago, is almost close to flipping the Ethereum NFTs. So things are progressing extremely rapidly, extremely fast, and being engaged in the space is the only way you actually know what to do and how to navigate this. So ordinals are basically NFTs on the Bitcoin protocol, whereas in Ethereum or other blockchain, it's called NFTs. So I kind of came through everything. Talked about tooling, talked about the history. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them on any topic here.
Thank you, Prashish. So let's see if our audience have any questions. Please, you can raise your hand and ask questions verbally. You'll be allowed to speak, or you can type your question in the chat or in the Q&A. There's a question in the Q&A. Great. It is from Salam Khan. I think he's one of our executive committee members. So the question is, thank you for your talk. I would like to know your opinion regarding protecting copyright issues in the field of generative art or AI-generated digital content created based on some art that doesn't exist in the digital space. Are you able to see the question, Prashish?
No, actually.
If you click on Q&A, can you see the Q&A?
I see webinar. I see webinar chat.
No, not in the chat. There's a Q&A button beside the polls and.
All right,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
All right, thanks. And copyright issues in the field of generative art or AI generated digital content based on some art that didn't exist in the digital space. Yeah, thank you so much, Salman.
Salman Khan.
Salman Khan.
No, he's Salam Khan.
Salam, sorry, I'm
Just
sorry.
kidding.
So right now, there's always been a challenge where when you're trying to bring a physical piece and mapping it with a digital piece and trying to sell that in the blockchain, because now there have been some custodial or vaults where people put those physical pieces in a certain area, and when the digital let's say NFTs gets transacted, the ownership changes, but it's still in the vault. So connecting the physical and digital has always been a challenge. There, like I said, there has been some innovation going around there. But if it is exclusively on the digital space, the provenance, the authentication, the verifiability can be easily done. And uh, and you mentioned about copyright. Yes, there has been a significant movement around like how you protect the copyright, and probably it's the same thing as the copyright in this environment as well. So when in the digital space, it's easy because let's say you have the NFT and you have a game or you have an ecosystem, you can easily make sure that NFT can be used in that game because you have the transaction hash, you have the NFT ID. It's possible. But when that NFT is used in the physical, if someone, let's say, prints it out and puts it there, it's the same issue that we face right now as physical pieces. Anyone could just click a photo of Mona Lisa and put it in their house. Regarding generative AI, I think there was a big backlash when people started generating art with AI and putting it in the marketplaces, and people were selling it off. But as like an open market, and the marketplace kind of evolved right now. Whenever you upload an art, there is a tag called is this generated or not? So there has been some like, let's say, checks and balances on how to like make sure people know that this is a generated art or not. But right now, I think even the marketplaces are taking a stance on, okay, we don't want generative art, or some marketplaces say we want generative art. But again, I think the art pieces are sold based on the artist as well. So if some artist tries to generate art and sell it, maybe the first time he succeeds, and second time when the community knows about it, then his art pieces don't sell. So it's also about like the reputation of the artist.
Thank you, Prashish. Yes, thank you very much. While we wait for other questions from the others in attendance, I would like to ask a question on behalf of all of us. Can you give us some advice on how we can get started with NFTs, get engaged, and make millions?
I think making millions was like in the past. Right now, it's so difficult. As with any new technology, when they're in an open capitalistic market, and when there's money involved, people really jump on board and try to create a lot of like scammy art. And that's what we saw last year when the NFT, there's a huge boom of NFTs, and people just created random NFT JPEGs, and people started selling it. But right now, if you try to do that, it's not possible because the market has matured. But to answer your question about how to get started, just like I said, the only way is just getting engaged in the community. There's so many avenues to get involved. If you're an artist, if you're a developer, if you're a designer, if you're a community manager, if you're a product designer, if you are a, let's say, if you're a game designer, there's a way for you to get involved. And all of this seems really like difficult at first, but once you kind of let's say download a MetaMask, or let's say a wallet, try to buy your first NFT, or maybe not, maybe it can be as simple, then you understand the technology behind it. So I would say just go full deep dive in, get your first NFT. It could be probably for 1 cent, or you can, I think there are many where you don't even need to pay anything, and get engaged in the community, see what the community is like, because the Web3 environment and the Web2 environment right now is completely different. The innovation happening here is way difficult to understand, because so how I see this is, during COVID time, I was very much engaged in this Web3, building the community, building the games, and since I was completely digitally engaged, when you come out into the physical world, you're like, oh my God, this is a different world, and this is everything happening is different. So it takes time to kind of navigate the space.
Thank you, Prashish. There are 2 questions in the Q&A. If you can go through that and respond, please? Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah, I think there's a question by Ashik. My question is, what is the future of NFTs in developing and underdeveloped countries like Nepal? Any experience that you've faced in terms of challenges and feasibility? Yes, especially in developing and underdeveloped countries, the challenges is compounding effect. So if you go and talk to, let's say, a person in the West, people are aware about NFTs. People, most likely, some of them, if they're engaged in the community, they know what this space is about. But here, since the exposure is low, in some, like in Nepal, it's banned. So people are kind of afraid. Hence, the last 5-7 years, the compounding effect has not taken place. Whereas, let's say you see in India, after the introduction of the Polygon blockchain, which started in India, there was a huge mass adoption of or I would say engagement of people in the blockchain space. If you go to Dubai, if you go to Singapore, you would see a lot of Indian companies starting blockchain companies. So there's definitely the exposure factor when you don't have the exposure to this space. But once that seed is planted, like for instance, Polygon in India, people kind of try to understand, oh, this blockchain is doing good. So what is this? How can I get involved? What can I do? So there's definitely challenges. But the good thing about this is, if this technology was a Web2 company, this probably would have existed only in the Silicon Valley circle. You'd not be able to invest, you'd not be able to participate. Only once it breaks the tipping point, then the countries, like the developing countries, quite kind of would be introduced. But right now, since it's an open field, it's an open protocol, me from Nepal can participate, can work with or even contribute to the open protocols in Web3 and NFTs with someone who is based in the US or based in Europe or based in, let's say, China. So that's the beauty. So I think it's more of a exposure challenge or a mindset challenge rather than the technology challenge. The technology is right there where you can engage with the ecosystem directly.
Thank you, Prashish. There's another question in Q&A from Karishma.
Okay, thank you, Karishma. How can Nepal harness the potential of Bitcoin and Web3 technologies to foster economic growth, financial inclusion, and technological innovation in the country? Just like I said in the previous question, it's a borderless ecosystem or a borderless industry. The whole concept of borders or a country, let's say, being in Nepal is maybe the regulation here. But once you go into the digital space, there's no one stopping you kind of being participating in the ecosystem. And it has a huge potential because in COVID time, India raised more than $1 billion with I think NFTs and tokens for the COVID relief. And it was possible only through the borderless currency or cryptocurrency. If, let's say, someone and you could see examples where people just sent $5 million worth of tokens to the relief easily. Imagine that happening, like someone sending from, let's say, Singapore to in India for that COVID. It was almost impossible. It would take days. But right now, with blockchain technology, people could send relief packages or funds easily. I've seen a lot of examples where NFT artists, they have really done well, especially from developing countries, because all you need right now is the know-how and the creative mindset to create something, create a community, and put it out in the market. And if you were a artist from Nepal, your let's say physical artist from Nepal, your market would be maybe Nepal or around Nepal. But here, if you are a popular artist, your NFT is popular, your market is global. Anyone could buy it easily. So that's the power and potential of this whole new paradigm of Web3 technologies.
Thank you, Prashish.
So I think there's one more question.
There's another question in the chat from Yang.
Yeah, there's one question by Sun Yang.
Yeah.
I've heard that blockchain is secure, but it is highly possible to me that phishing attacks utilize blockchain technologies. These attacks can pose significant risks, especially for individuals who are not well versed in the intricacies of technologies. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this matter and whether you believe that these concerns are valid. Like any digital environment, like phishing is definitely possible, and especially since it's a new technology, people have been trying to scam and exploit this. And we saw this happening maybe 6 months ago when any popular celebrities tweeted, there was a tweet from a bot saying that, hey, if you want Ethereum, if you want Bitcoin, do this, do that, right? So any new technology has that has that risk, but now you don't see that. So we are trying to get, as the ecosystem matures, we're trying to, we are kind of navigating that, all these attacks. So did you mean phishing attacks or did you mean hacks? Because in blockchain technology, phishing attacks, definitely yes, which is true also for other technology, but hacks, I think has been more generally like in the news. People, I think I'm sure you have heard about, oh, this blockchain got hacked, or this blockchain got hacked, or this money got hacked. And I would say, like, since it's more of a feature than a bug, because when you write a code in the previous set of let's say platforms, if there is a bug, you could easily fix it. But here, if there is a bug and if you deploy it to the smart contract, there's no way you can change it. There have been instances where millions of dollars have been locked into the smart contracts because the developers made a mistake. The withdraw function there was an issue with the withdraw function. There was an issue where a hacker could exploit that. So that's the pros and cons of like deploying in a, let's say, a decentralized environment. Hence, the whole industry around auditing has really spawned up, because right now, when you want to deploy a code, you need to make sure it's audited properly. So, like I said, it's a new ecosystem. We are learning. We are learning. We are getting exposed. And there has been hacks, again, learning hacks. So it's part of maturing, I guess.
Thank you, Prashish. So while we wait for other questions from the attendees, I have a question. So I mean, what I'm wondering about is the value concept of these NFTs, especially the future value of these NFTs. For example, a few months ago, when I was teaching my students about NFTs, I took the image that was sold by Beeple for 69 million, and I showed it to my students for free. So whoever bought this art from Beeple for 69 million, how is he or she going to get value for this art that we are all able to see it for free whenever we want? Or is it because these people have so much money to spare that they are just spending it?
That's a really good question. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I think there is an ongoing joke, or there used to be an ongoing joke saying that, hey, in Twitter, when someone says, I bought this NFT for X amount of dollars, people would say, oh, I just right click and saved it. But even my idea of NFTs changed when I learned about hash masks. I think I showed an example where there was an art, and you as an owner could change that art. The art would generate tokens every single day, and with those tokens, you could change the name, you can write a story, you can do whatever you want. So someone who has that art, let's say who has a copy of the art, cannot do that. Me as an owner of that art can actually modify it. So there have been instances where there are events which where the NFT is required or needed. So again, verifiability is easily possible through the blockchain. And the Beeple example, I feel like the money, $69 million, I think that really took the news, because I feel like it was a new form of art. I mean, there have been cases where even physical art have been sold or bought for much more than that. But Beeple's art was probably the first digital art where that the artist created art for 5,000 days every single day. So people actually bought that as an art piece. How it is going to be used, why it was valued at 69 millions. So again, I think it's market. If you ask the same thing, would that again be sold at the same price right now? Maybe not, because the market is again very down right now. There have been cases where, like, I think Jack Dorsey sold his first tweet at $4 million. And when the same person tried to resell that art, like I think a year back, it probably got like $500 worth of bid, right? So price is only one factor. What I see here is the possibilities that the technologies provide. And there are people who kind of speculated on that, saying that, hey, I'm going to buy a tweet, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that. And I feel like it's part of the whole cycle of a new technology coming in, people getting excited, the market going up, shooting up, maybe, and then people kind of understanding, oh shit, oh man, oh, this probably is not the right value, and then everything goes down. And we have seen that in stock market as well, and we have seen it in any other industry. Like when railways got introduced, when cars got introduced, people really got excited about the new technologies, and the share price of those particular stocks like skyrocketed. But after a few decades or a few years, the company collapsed. So I would say just part of the cycle of learning and learning this new technology.
Thank you very much. There is another question in the Q&A. Two questions now.
Okay, I'm trying to see.
And these are the last two questions for you. Don't worry.
No worries. I'm I'm all ears. I don't see the question. Isn't it QA?
In
the
Q&A.
last one, the last message I see is Sunyong Wang saying thank you for your answer.
No, not in the chat. In the Q&A.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. And thank you again, Salam Khan. Your question is, what is the core beauty of blockchain technology and distributed authentication? So, so in my previous slide, I mentioned about what blockchain technology provides. The one element that the previous generation of computing platform doesn't provide is trust, meaning that when I, as a developer, push a code into the blockchain ecosystem or blockchain network, the blockchain network makes sure that it runs as it is. I, as an owner of, let's say, an NFT, and it's in the blockchain makes sure that it is mine. The authentication verifiability is done by the whole computing platform. No one entity can change it. No one person can change it. No one node can change it. Versus, let's say, if I had an art piece in Facebook could change it. I mean, because it's up to them, right? They could just ban it. They could delete it, or they could do whatever they want, because here a single entity or a single corporation controls it. Blockchain technology, on the other hand, since no one controls it, it's decentralized, and it's public, it's easily verifiable, and whatever code is there, only that code gets executed. So that's the beauty of blockchain, and I feel like new form of applications will come in, where a value, when we want to transfer from one entity to other entity, A to B, it probably would make a way into the blockchain. Currency, like gaming assets, a lot of different like experimentations are happening. Hence, I'm a strong believer of a decentralized computing, where no one has a single authority, and me as a user can kind of can trust that if I own something, I actually own something in the digital space. Thank you. And the next question is by Karishma Parajuli. So she said, her question is there any legal and tax implication of buying, selling, and owning NFTs? Yes. Every country has their own tax implication. I think in the US right now, it treats as any other like I believe it's treating it as any other asset, and if you get a profit, you need to pay a capital gains on the profit. I'm not familiar with other countries' tax implications, but I'm sure you can check it out. And this has been an ongoing debate in the whole ecosystem on what those implications would be like. So it's a very interesting question, and then people, I think there's a whole team of legal legal companies trying to work on what how to pay taxes and what the tax implications would be for NFTs.
Thank you, Prashish. I think with that, we will bring this webinar to an end. I would like to thank you, especially for an inspiring and interesting talk. This has been a great webinar. The APNG Executive Committee and I am really thankful and appreciate your time and effort and your sacrifice of talking to us on a Saturday, which is like holiday or rest day for all of us. I would also like to thank all the participants for taking the time out on a Saturday to attend. The APNG Executive Committee and I really appreciate your participation. We will send email invitations to you for our next webinar. Those who have attended this webinar from the beginning to the end and have actively participated can send me an email for a certificate of participation. Thank you all for attending, and Prashish, thank you all. And Prashish, thank you for speaking at our second APNG webinar for 2023. Hope to see you all at our next webinar in July 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you everyone for attending. Thank you for having me.
All right.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.